Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we are installing a new dash cam in our 2022 Hyundai Santa Fe. And that is the 4K dash cam from FiTCAMX. Now, one thing that really drove us to saying yes to doing this particular episode for each of you is the simple fact that it looks OEM. It looks like that it was installed from the factory and was made just for this particular vehicle. Different than any other dash cam that we have actually done an install and review on this channel. So as usual, let's dive into the box. Let's show you the contents. We'll talk about the camera itself, and then the fun, much easier part of installing this one today. All right, a couple of things before we dive into the box. So the front camera is a 4K 8 megapixel camera. If you do purchase the package with the rear camera is 1080p and it is 2 megapixels. You also have a variety of different SD cards. You can purchase one with 128 gig, or you can purchase one with 64 gig SD card as a part of it. Additional accessories you can purchase would be the polarizing lens, as well as the wiring harness to set up the parking sensor. So, with that being said, let's jump into the contents. Let's look at our dash cam first. Actually, let's just take care of these. So we've got our user manual. We have a support card. We need support. Looks like we have our rear camera. We have our housing. This is going to replace the OEM housing on the windshield. And here, this is something entirely different. If you're planning on actually shooting a dash camera installation video, it comes with the bracket in order to be able to do that. Well, that is 100% different than anybody else, so that's really, really cool. Let's jump into the accessories box here. Okay, we have the harness, the actual attach to the camera, as well as your OEM harness, trim removal pool. The blue is definitely throwing me off. The trim removal tool, and of all the dash cams that I've installed, this is by far the best tool that they've provided. This is thick, this is sizable, I'm impressed. And then you have an SD card adapter, something a lot of the dash cams do not include. That is really, really good. That's a nice bonus. Now for ours, we chose the 128 gig SD card, and it comes already pre-installed in the slot. And if you're looking at this wondering, well, where's the camera at? Camera's right there. It's already in the housing. So let's go ahead and jump to the install. We'll walk through step by step, and then we'll cover the actual review of the app and show you footage from the actual dash cams, as we usually do in all of our videos. The very first thing we're going to end up doing here is moving our mirror down, and we're going to pop out this centerpiece. We will discard that for now. All right, next we're going to remove this entire console cover, we'll utilize the provided tool. We're going to just slide it underneath the bottom here to be able to get our fingertip underneath it. You'll pull it away from the windshield, and then you're going to slide it. Well, once I have my finger on it all, we're going to slide it straight down. Next, we're going to remove this plug. This is going to be the power source that we tap into. You can use your trim removal tool or a fingernail or a flat tip screwdriver. You're going to push in the bottom tab and then slide right out. Now we'll go ahead and utilize our pigtail to plug everything in. All right, female end of our pigtail, we'll plug our OEM harness in until we get a click. Then we'll take the other end of the pigtail and plug it back in to the port till we hear a click. All right, now we're ready to go ahead and put on the dash camera and the new console. So we have two attachment points here. One that will go to the actual pigtail, and then the other will run for our rear camera. When we're looking at reinstalling this, a couple things to point out. This clip right here is an L clip, and it's going to be sliding into these. All right, so we'll go ahead, slide this on up. We're going to connect these two wires for the power. Kind of move our wiring up out of the way so we can get to our clips. We'll slide it on up. And then towards the bottom here, where we first removed the old console, we're going to push up. Then clicks in. If you are not installing the rear camera, you're done at this point with the install, short of tucking your wires in and then reinstalling the center cap piece that came on this. Since we are installing the rear camera, we'll go ahead and move to the next step of plugging it into this and running the wire to the rear of the vehicle. Okay, so for the rear harness, you have one that's plugged into the actual camera. You're going to disconnect that. We don't need it hanging all over the place while we're running the wire. And then we have our other end that connects there at the front camera, just like this. We'll just line up the two lines, push in till we hear a click. All right, now we're going to go ahead and run our rear camera wire along the headliner, tuck it in really nicely over to the A-pillar. Once we've ran the wire along the headliner, now we'll go ahead, pull down our weather seal. And this is the way that I run these wires. You certainly can run it your way or by other recommendations, but this is how I feel more comfortable with running it. Your A-pillar cover, we're going to pull it down away from the curtain airbags. We're going to run the wire up over on top so that it does not obstruct the airbag at all. This is how I have it running, and then from this point we're going to run it up along the headliner all the way back to the back of the vehicle. Once you've ran your wire through this first window portion, and then you can go ahead and put your weather seal back in place. Next step is we need to pull this trim panel down in order to be able to tuck the wire underneath it. Incredibly simple. You just grab it with your fingertips and just pull down with a little bit of controlled force. Same thing on this side. Pull down. It just has these 4 locking tabs in there. We'll set that to the side. Next, we're going to go ahead and access this wire rubber channel for all the wiring. Basically, we'll just pull down from the top, and then we're going to lift up on the bottom to where it's completely unseated. We're going to run our power wire through that. Next step is to install our rear camera. Make sure that you do remove the little plastic protective little film that's on there. This does show an arrow on this side up. Now sometimes these lead wires could be short, could be long, and this one is just not long enough for what I want to be able to do, and that is to run it down through here, down through the wire channel into the headliner. So with that being said, we're going to need to run the other end up this way and connect it up here. So next step is to pull away our weather seal once we've got our wire back to the back. A word of caution with this rear weather seal: it does have black glue on it. That glue does not play nicely with your clothes. So we're going to go ahead and run our wire up the headliner. And I like to have this guide wire that I've come into possession some way at some point in life that is actually awesome for wiring jobs like this. So get yourself a good little thick wire that you can hook on the end. We're going to need that to pull the wire through this wiring channel. And we're going to pull through just enough to be able to connect to this here, because the rest of this we're going to tuck in to the actual headliner. Alright, once you've got your wire ran all the way through, let's go ahead and plug these two together. And I like taking some zip strips and actually zipping the wires up with the OEM wires so there's no rattling at all. Everything is tight and clean. Now we can go ahead and put our trim panel piece back up. From here, we're going to roll up our excess wire, tuck it into the headliner. Tuck everything back in, put your weather seal back on. Now we're going to go ahead and reinsert the wire channel back in. Make sure that these are seated correctly so there is no water that can get into these. Alright, now that we've got all of our wires ran and tucked away, now all that's left is just to put our little center cap back on. There we go. Super clean. And so much easier than all the rest of the dash cams. Next up is the app. Great thing that FiTCAMX does to continually make this pretty easy is the inclusion of QR codes. You've got them both for the iPhone and Android to be able to not just the installation video for your particular vehicle, but also to download the apps. All right, let's see how smooth this is to download the app. Okay. It's moving along very fast, installing. And installed. Okay, so the FiTCAMX Dashcam has built-in Wi-Fi that we're actually going to be connecting the app through. So first, we'll go ahead and start the vehicle. And we're making sure that we have lights. Now we're going to go into our Wi-Fi settings. There, found our dash cam. Alright, from here, we're going to enter in the password provided, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And connect. Now we go back to our app. Of course, we've got to give it some permissions. Only while using the app. Allow limited access. And we're going to connect. And we are in. Okay. Of course, our rear hatch is still open, so the rear screen is going to be really off. I'll go back and adjust that here shortly, but it looks like we've got front view just fine. Alright, just to show the rear camera is working just fine. Got everything here. You can basically hit one of these options to pause or to take a picture. Then all of your files are actually going to be right in here. We'll open this up and it shows your loop, your snapshots, your lock photos, and of course any footage from you being parked if you have the parking sensor connected. One additional item is the instructions recommend formatting the SD card. So you just go into your camera settings. From here you have different options of sound and the speaker and video resolution and everything else. If you scroll down here to format SD card, hit that, then it's going to say it's going to, of course, erase all the data, and we'll hit OK, and it's formatting, and now it is done. Okay, you've seen the install and you've seen the footage, and here is my breakdown of the pros versus the cons for the FiTCAMX Dashcam. Starting with the pros. The very first thing is the ease of install. If you are looking at this and you typically have a bunch of wires that makes you hesitate on installing a dash cam, this one right here, totally opposite. Especially if you're only using the front camera, it will take you no time at all to actually get it installed. The second pro, which is probably the biggest draw for consumers to this dash cam, is the OEM look. It looks like it was made by the manufacturer and it was a part of the car, just as we would all hope that these manufacturers do include a dash cam. The next is the video quality. I'll be honest, I did not have high expectations for this particular dash cam because it is compact, there's not a lot there to it, and we've seen a good bit of dash cams that really did not have the best of quality, but I did like the daytime, especially the nighttime footage from this particular unit. Now for the cons. The very first is no GPS. That is being called out by a lot of owners. Of course, if you were in an impact or an accident of some kind and that data, especially speed, is needed for that claim, that could be something that is big for you. The next is the video formatting. With these, if you try to remove it off the SD card on the computer, they are not MP4 format. You are going to need a video formatting software in order to convert it over to MP4 and then be able to share it that way. But on the flip side, within the app, you can view the live footage and you can download that footage to your phone in order to be able to share it that way. So that was definitely a plus with that piece of it. Now, continuing on that side of the app, on the con, is there is limited functionality with it. There's very few settings that you can actually go in and adjust compared to a lot of the other apps for dash cams that are out there. So if you like to be able to tweak a lot of things and make different things happen with the unit, this app just won't provide that. And the last con, which I would say is probably the biggest one for us, is that it lacks voice controls. With a lot of dash cams, you're able to easily provide a voice command and it does something for you. You're unable to lock the video, you're unable to take a picture through that route. You actually have to access it through the app in order to lock that footage or to take a picture. So keep that in mind when you're considering this particular unit, as well as what your needs and desires are for them. So, with that being said, we certainly hope this has been beneficial to you, and if so, be sure to smash that like button and share a comment with us. And until next episode, take care, stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you then. Bye.